Did you know that you can run ads in Gmail? Google Ads recently made a key change that lets you create a campaign to only reach people in their email inboxes. Whether you're an email marketer who's curious about the paid email capabilities, or you're an advanced Google Ads practitioner who maybe just wants to brush up on the latest capabilities, this video is for you. We're going to start with the Gmail Ads fundamentals, seeing what this actually looks like for end users and the various options you need to know. Then I will show you step by step how to actually create a Gmail-only ad campaign within Google Ads. We'll dive deep into all the different targeting options you have available for Gmail ads, and of course, the various creative requirements for image and videos, yes, videos in Gmail. Next, we'll touch on bidding options and optimization opportunities, how to measure the success of your campaigns, and then wrap up with what you can do next to get started with your very first Gmail-only campaign. I'm Jyll Saskin-Gales, a Google Ads coach and the founder of the Inside Google Ads course, podcast, and book. If you are not yet following me, be sure to tap that subscribe button so we can get started. And if you have any questions at all as we're going through, just drop a comment below this video and I'll get back to you. So first things first, if you have been running Google Ads for some time, then you may remember something called GSPs, Gmail Sponsored Promotions. Way back when, there was a way in Google Ads to run Gmail-only ads, and they had some pretty interesting targeting capabilities. At that time, for example, you could actually show ads to people based on the content of the emails in their inboxes. As you can imagine, when users got wind of this, they were not happy, and Google phased that out many years ago. Recently, however, Google made a change to demand gen campaigns to let you pick the different placements you'd like. That means you can now pick only Gmail and, once again, run only Gmail ads. So that's what we're going to be focusing on today. First things first, what does a Gmail ad actually look like? For people who are using Gmail that have the promotions tab or the social tab, that's where they can see ads. So this is my real personal Gmail. I'm going to show you some examples here of real Gmail ads that are being served to me right now. And then I'm also going to show you screenshots of what this looks like on mobile. In my promotions tab, you can see that there are 3 ads here right now: Gmail Workspace, Remarkable, and Mini Mioche. Notice how when my mouse hovers over these, this sign up or learn more comes up. That's called a call to action. It's one of the things you choose when you set up a Gmail campaign. If you click on one of these ads, it's just like opening an email. So right now, these are called the teaser ads. It's just a teaser of what's to come. If we click on one, we are now seeing the expanded ad. This ad has an image, headline, description, and a call to action. Up here, there's also the business name, the business logo, and the beginning of the final URL, meaning if someone clicks on sign up, they're going to go to a page that starts with workspace.google.com. The user has the option to save this to their inbox if they find it valuable or to delete it. Let's look at another example, Remarkable. If I click on this, here is now the expanded ad. You can see the layout is a bit different because this is a horizontal image, whereas the other one had a square-ish image, we'll call it. We have a headline, very short description, and a call to action. Once again, business name, business domain, save to inbox, delete. Now let's see our third example here, Mini Mioche. This one does not have a call to action showing up on the right. And here's why. This is a product expanded ad. So what this means is that Mini Mioche has connected their Google Merchant Center feed, the feed of their various products, to this campaign. This could be showing up here because they're running Performance Max or Demand Gen. We can't know for sure. But here, instead of just having an image, headline, description like we saw in the other 2 examples, instead it's showcasing a variety of products. And if I click Browse More, that will then take me to the website, which is, of course, minimioche.com. For any of these ads, or actually any ad on Google, you can always click these 3 dots and see why you were served this ad and who paid for it. So this one's an ad from Google, and it was targeted to me based on my language, my location, Google's estimation of my areas of interest, the information in my Google account, so like my age, gender, etc., and then my similarity to groups of people the advertiser is trying to reach. Let's see how Mini Mioche may be targeting ads differently. If we click the 3 dots, we see who paid for it, where they're based. They're using my parental status. Makes sense. They sell children's clothing. Location, areas of interest, info my Google account, and information I gave to the advertiser. That means they're using customer match, and it's true, I am a customer of Mini Mioche. We'll get to all the targeting options later in the video. Feel free to use the table of contents to skip ahead if you want to get to that now. Now let's look at some examples of what Gmail ads look like on mobile. Here you can see an ad from Google Ads. In this first screenshot, this is what the teaser ad looked like. Notice here that the image was actually part of the teaser ad. So look how it stands out next to the other regular email marketing I received and to the other sponsored ad below it from Twilio. You can't guarantee that your Gmail images will show like this, but it does happen quite frequently. So it's a great way to stand out in the user's inbox. If I click on the headline or description here, that will open the expanded ad that looks like this. Image, headline, description, visit site. You'll notice here that it looks a little more similar to other emails you'd receive. You don't see that preview of the domain, but you do see the advertiser's name and logo. However, if from the teaser ad, I just click on this image, that would take me straight to the landing page without seeing the expanded ad. And similarly, in the expanded ad, if I click visit site, it would take me to the landing page. So really important to keep in mind the differences here between the teaser ad, the expanded ad, and then the final URL, the page that the ad leads to if the user chooses to leave their inbox and go to your website. Here you can see some examples of what product feed Gmail ads can look like. On desktop, we only saw those products when we opened the expanded ad, but what you'll often see on mobile is the teaser ad includes those products. How cool is that? So in the Everlane example, you can see we get a headline and 2.5 products. Clicking on a product would take me straight to the final URL, whereas clicking on the email subject or preview text would take me to the expanded ad. In the Veronica Beard example, you can see they were having a big sale at this time. I actually own that dress. So we can see the sale prices, very intriguing. And again, click to go straight to those products versus clicking on the ad to open it. You'll notice in both of these examples, there's another plain text ad right next to it. On the left here, this was the very top of my promotions tab, to emails to things I'm subscribed to, the Everlane ad, and then a Gmail Pro ad. On the right-hand side, you can see I'd scrolled down a bit. These were not right at the top. Here, this PC Express, that's not an ad, but did you know that the images from your email marketing can also show up as teasers? A lot of email marketers don't realize that. So just wanted to highlight that there, not an ad. Below that is a plain text ad. And then we have this Veronica Beard product ad. So if you are an e-commerce business, there's some really cool things you can do with Gmail to complement your other email marketing strategies. Here are just a few more ad examples to show you. On the left, you can see ClassPass had this teaser ad right at the top with that image. Below it, an ad for Gemini Pro. And then on the right, once I was scrolling through for a while, then there was this American Express ad, which honestly doesn't have the image, but just looks very organic. So I found that pretty interesting. The sponsored is in quite small writing. Last but not least, I'm showing you 2 examples of things that even most advanced Google Ads practitioners don't realize you can do. On the left-hand side, we have our Google Ads ad and our Spotify advertising ad. Notice with the Google Ads ad, there's this little thing here, restart ads with X. That's a site link. Now, if you're someone who does SEO or you work with Google Ads, you know what site links are. They're additional links people can click other than your headline that take them to different parts of your website. Site links are compatible with demand gen campaigns, which means they're compatible with Gmail ads. They won't always show, but if you do add site links, it gives you the opportunity to direct people to other parts of your site in addition to your final URL as part of your ad. So if I click on the site link, you can see on the right, this LinkedIn ads ad also has a site link that would take me straight to that page versus clicking on the teaser ad to open the expanded ad, which would then take me to the final URL. Last but not least, this is more rare, but notice this little video icon here. This is a video Gmail ad. And as of when I'm recording this, Google still says that video ads aren't compatible with Gmail. They're wrong. They are. If I were to click on this ad and expand it, unfortunately, when I did this in real life, I did not grab a screenshot of it, but it opens up with that expanded ad with your headline, description, etc. But instead of an image, it's a video that someone can watch right in their inbox. pretty engaging opportunity. And of course, Google owns YouTube as well, so your video can be hosted on your YouTube channel. Now that we understand the fundamental Gmail ads terminology and what these ads look like for the user, I'm going to show you how to actually set up a Gmail ads campaign. Note that Google Ads is constantly changing, so as you go to do this, it may not look exactly the same as what I'm showing you right now. If by the time you're viewing this video, it looks completely different, check the description down below as I'll put a link to something updated there if and when it's needed. Welcome to my demo account. This is what it looks like when you open a Google Ads account. So if you already have a Google Ads account, navigate here. If you do not yet have a Google Ads account, I've put a link down below to my Google Ads Made Easy video where I show you how to set up a brand new Google Ads account the right way. Because we're starting a new campaign, we want to create a new campaign. You can click here on New Campaign or click the big rainbow plus button and choose Campaign. Whenever we are starting a new Google Ads campaign, we always want to choose without guidance. That ensures all options are available to us as we go through the setup process. As we scroll down to campaign type, you want to choose demand gen. And then as we come here, this is where you'll choose the conversion actions you want to optimize for. So if you are already running ads, you will see some conversion actions here. If there are certain goals you want to add or remove, you can click add goal to add a different one, or 3 dots and then remove if you want to remove one. And if you're in a brand new Google Ads account, you will need to actually set up conversion tracking before you can track conversions. In my Inside Google Ads course, I have lessons that show you how to set up conversion tracking using Google Tag Manager, using Google Analytics, whether it's the Google tag, phone calls, forms, etc. So I have put the link to my Inside Google Ads course in the video description in case that's of interest to you. Now we're going to continue. I'm just seeing this because, as you might imagine, in my work as a teacher, I do a lot of demo campaigns, so I'll click Start New. Here is where you can name your campaign. If you're doing Gmail ads only, I recommend calling it Demand Gen, Gmail, and then whatever it is the campaign is trying to achieve here. So if it's remarketing, if it's prospecting, if it's whatever it might be, I'm going to call this course Demo because that's what I'm doing. If you have a product feed and you want to show those ads like we saw from Mini Me Yosh, from Everlane, then you can toggle this on and select your Merchant Center account. I do not have a product feed, so I will not be able to do that for this demonstration. Coming down here to campaign goal, this is actually where you tell Google Ads your bid strategy. Later in this video, I will dive into which bid strategy to choose, what they mean. So for now, I will just say your goal can be conversions, getting people to take action on your website. Your goal can be clicks, which means you want people to just visit your website, get out of their inbox and come to you. If you have an account that has a lot of purchase data, you could choose conversion value, which means you want to optimize not just for conversions, but for more valuable conversions. And then last but not least, I don't recommend choosing this for a Gmail ads campaign, but it is an option in Demand Gen to try to optimize for YouTube subscribers and YouTube views. Of course, that would only make sense if your Demand Gen campaign is going to run on YouTube. Scrolling down, we pick conversion goals here. When you create a Demand Gen campaign, you can only pick one conversion goal category. So let's say that we want add to cart and purchases. I can have it optimized for purchases. I can have it optimized for add to cart. I can't choose both. I can only choose one. And that's pretty unique. A lot of Google Ads campaign types let you choose multiple conversion goals. With Demand Gen and therefore with Gmail ads, you can only choose one. Here is an option for target cost per action. Again, this has to do with the bid strategy. Because I chose conversions up here, I'm now on maximize conversions. If I check this box, that switches to target CPA. You can check the table of contents below this video if you want to fast forward to that bidding section now. Here is where you can choose your budget. You can choose a daily budget, which will be an average daily budget, not a maximum daily budget. Or you can set a campaign total budget. So if you're running a specific campaign for, say, a Black Friday promotion, then maybe you want a campaign total budget, your start date, your end date, and you're done. Whereas if you foresee this as being like an always-on remarketing kind of thing, then you may want to do a daily budget. Note that Google will often recommend a very high daily budget, and you don't have to listen. See this yellow thing here? Your campaign has issues. Yellow means recommendation. Red, like how this is outlined in red, means there's an issue. So if you see something that's red, by the way, this applies to all of Google Ads, that means you got to go fix the issue. But when you see something like this that's yellow, even though the words may sound scary, it's just a recommendation and you can ignore it. For demo purposes, I'm just going to say $20 a day. Now we can see it's recommending $70 a day based on what, Google? Based on what, okay? It's yellow, we can ignore it and keep moving. I would also take these estimated campaign results you see on the side with a giant grain of salt, especially if you've never used Demand Gen before or if you're brand new to Google Ads. Coming down, we can put brand guidelines here. This is a newer feature. So if there are certain colors that matter to you, certain fonts that you want to be used, you could do that. A few more campaign level settings to get to before we get into our first ad group. Location and language. In most Google Ads campaigns, you always set this at the campaign level. Demand Gen gives you the opportunity to set your location targeting and your language targeting at the ad group level. For the most part, I recommend turning this toggle on and just keeping these as campaign level settings. For my demonstration, let's say I want to target, I don't know, the United States. There we go. And now you can see I'm targeting the United States. If you come to advanced search, you can enter specific locations, cities, neighborhoods, countries, etc. And you can also target a radius around a location, which can be really helpful for local businesses or service-based businesses. All right, coming down to languages, you can keep it at all languages or put it to your language. I'm going to say English. Down here, you can choose different devices. I recommend just leaving it. Gmail ads are going to show on computers, mobile, tablet. Let it do its thing and find the best results for you. Ad schedule, I recommend keeping it at all times, but if for whatever reason you only want to show ads on certain days or at certain times, you can edit that here. Now that we've set up our Demand Gen campaign, we're going to go and set up our first Demand Gen ad group. I'm going to call this ad group remarketing, Gmail remarketing, because that's what I want to start with here. You can call it whatever you want. And now here's where the real important magic part happens to run Gmail ads. You want to select Let Me Choose, and then you want to uncheck YouTube, uncheck Discover, uncheck Google Display. Now your ads will only be shown within users' Gmail inboxes. Again, yellow warning is here. It's just yellow, not red. We can ignore it. At this point in the Gmail ad setup process, it's time to decide who gets to see your ads. In Google Ads, there are two kinds of targeting: content targeting and audience targeting. Audience targeting means showing ads to people based on who they are. Content targeting means showing ads to people based on what they're currently doing. So for example, if you run a search campaign targeting keywords, that's content targeting because you're showing ads to people who are searching for those keywords. You don't care who the user is, you just care what the keyword is. Versus with audience targeting, as we saw with the Mini Mioche campaign, it was targeting me because I'm a parent. So that's targeting based on who the person is, regardless of what they're currently doing. Because we're running Gmail ads, the only placement is Gmail. So the content targeting already is Gmail. Now we have to determine, of the billions of Gmail users, who do we want to be eligible to see our ads? I actually wrote a best-selling book about Google Ads audience targeting inside Google Ads, everything you need to know about audience targeting. So I will give you the quick overview you need to get started with Gmail here. But if this is something that really interests you or you think you need to brush up on, I will put a link to buy my book below this video. Let's add an audience. This may be blank for you. You may see a bunch of audiences here. We're going to click New Audience. And this opens up something called Audience Builder. So in Audience Builder, we're going to create an audience for our ad group. And within that audience, we get to pick from various audience segments. Stick with me, okay? So we said this was going to be remarketing, but there's actually lots of options available to you to target your ads. And we're going to go through them one by one. I'm going to start with this second option called Your Data. This is remarketing or retargeting, showing ads to people who've already engaged with your business in some way. In Google Ads, there are 4 kinds of remarketing you can do: people who visited your website, people who've used your app, people who have given you their personally identifiable information like email address or phone number, that's called customer match, and then people who have engaged with your content on Google, like watching your YouTube videos or clicking on your website in search results. Again, for this video about Gmail ads, I'm just giving you the overview of all your options. You can go really deep on these topics by checking out my book or joining my Inside Google Ads course. Because I do want to do remarketing here, I'm going to check the box for all users of learn.jyll.ca. So that's everyone who has visited my website. Your next option here is a lookalike segment. And this actually is only an option in demand gen. So you can use this in Gmail, but you can't actually use this in other campaign types in Google. When you create a lookalike segment, what you do first is give it a seed list of one of your remarketing lists. You tell it the location you're targeting, the reach, and then Google will go out and find users who are most similar to your seed list. Let me show you what I mean. For demonstration purposes, I'm going to call this YouTube viewers lookalike. So it's a good idea when naming your lookalike segment to tell it what seed list it's basing it on. Then for my seed list, I'm going to choose YouTube video viewers. Locations, this campaign is targeting United States, so I'll choose that. This works at the country level. And then for segment reach, you can choose narrow, balanced, or broad. When in doubt, I recommend narrow and then click save. Now we have a lookalike segment, and it can take a couple of days to process and start running. Because I'm trying to run remarketing here, I'm actually not going to use a lookalike segment here, but that is option number 2 for you to target your Gmail ads. The third option is here under Interests and Detailed Demographics. This is where you can choose from Google's predefined audiences to reach people based on what Google knows about them. Your 4 choices are, let's go to Browse to see them, in-market segments, life event segments, detailed demographics, and affinity segments. In-market means people who've displayed behavior online that shows they're currently researching a product or service. So, for example, people currently in market for yoga apparel. Next is life events. That's people going through a significant life transition. So for example, people who recently started a business or people who are starting a business soon. For detailed demographics, this is, well, what it sounds like, more detailed than basic demographics. For example, instead of just targeting parents, we could target parents of infants. And then last but not least is affinity. This is based on people's interests and hobbies. So for example, you could target people who are avid investors. Across all of these Google's data segments, there are thousands to choose from. So I recommend doing a little bit of research on what may be useful for you, or you can search over here to get ideas. For example, let's say you sell accounting software. You could type accounting, and then Google will show you some of the existing audiences that are beneficial. If you see this in-market other, that's something different. Not going to go down that rabbit hole. I don't recommend using those. But here, these ones that just say in-market, these are existing Google audiences you can use. So people in market for accounting software, people in market for business and financial services, in market detailed demographics, maybe people who work in the financial industry, etc. As you add multiple audience segments here, they all have an or relationship. That's all you can do in a demand gen campaign. So if I left it like this, that means I want my Gmail ads to show to people who have visited my website or are in market for accounting software or are in market for business financial services or are part of the financial industry. Because I'm setting up remarketing here, I'm now going to close these out. So we've covered 3 types of audience segments, which give you thousands of different possibilities. And yet there's more. Coming back up to the top here is a custom segment. This is something really cool that you can do with Google Ads. When you create a new segment, we actually have 4 different options for building our own custom audience. First is people who have certain interests or purchase intentions. I never use that one. Second is people who search for certain things on Google. This only works with certain campaign types, but because we're running Gmail only ads, you can feel confident that this will work with your Gmail ads. So maybe we want to show ads to people who have searched for things like organic baby clothes, organic toddler clothes, made in Canada, baby clothes, etc. You could add these here as search terms, organic cotton, baby clothes. Oops, did not spell that right, but you get the idea. You can add a bunch of things here that people have searched for on Google. And if they've searched for these things, then you want to show ads to them. If you're doing this, I recommend adding at least 5 search terms here, maybe more like 10 to 20 to give Google a really good idea of the kinds of people you're trying to reach. So that's option 2, showing ads to people who have searched for things on Google, but we're going to show them ads on Gmail later. Next is the option to show ads to people who browse websites similar to. So maybe if Mini Mioche is my competition, I could put Mini Mioche here. Remember, it's browse websites similar to, so it's not guaranteeing that my ads are going to show to everyone who has seen my competitors' websites. It's websites like that. Again, I recommend adding 5 to 10 websites here to give Google an idea of the kinds of people you're trying to reach. And then last but not least, people who use apps similar to, for example, I don't know, I've been playing Block Blast a lot right now, so let's try Block Blast, Block Puzzle. Oh, wow. There's a lot of different versions of these, but you could choose these, for example, and then show ads to people who use apps similar to these. Again, if you add multiple things to a custom segment, it has an or relationship. So if I were to create this very strange segment right now, it would show ads to people who have searched for made in Canada baby clothes or search for organic cotton baby clothes, or who use apps similar to the Block Puzzle Jyll app. Give your segment a name and then hit save. And you can have multiple custom segments if you like. For our demo, I'm going to click cancel. So I'm going to leave my audience at just all users of my website. 3 more important things you need to know about Gmail ads targeting, and then we're going to move on to creative requirements. First is you can add exclusions based on your remarketing lists or lookalike segments. So if you do email marketing and you have a list of people who have unsubscribed from your email marketing, you are going to want to upload that list and exclude it here. This is not email marketing, this is advertising, but if someone's unsubscribed for your emails and then they see a Gmail ad in their inbox, they might get angry. It can create a bad experience. We don't want any of that. So I do recommend that you upload that list of unsubscribers. It would show up under customer lists here. You could add it as an exclusion so that you don't show Gmail ads to those people. Next, you do have the option to narrow by demographics. So for example, if you only want your ads to show to women, you could uncheck male. I do recommend keeping unknown checked because there are a lot of people whose gender, age, etc. may be unknown. Your options here are gender, age, parental status, and household income. So generally, I don't recommend doing this, but if there's a very serious reason that you want to narrow your audience by demographics, this is where you could do that. Last thing to mention, now that we have our audience here, notice how next to our audience it says signal. We don't want a signal. We want targeting. The reason for that is that this optimized targeting box is checked. That means that although we've told Google we want to show our Gmail ads to people who visited my website, this box checked means, and if there are other people out there who haven't visited my website, but you think are going to convert, go ahead and show ads to them. There's absolutely a time and place for that feature. This is not it. So let's uncheck that box. Now you'll notice that signal is gone. So that's how we know we are only going to show ads to people on my remarketing list. Now that we've created our ad group, it's time to go and create our ad. Let's talk about creative requirements and specifications for Gmail ads. There are 3 kinds of ads you can create in Gmail: a single image ad, a video ad, or a carousel image ad. If you have a product feed attached to your campaign, then you'll see single image with product feed or video with product feed, and carousel won't be an option. Let's start with the single image ad because that's probably the one most people use when they're getting started with Gmail ads. You can give your ad a name, you choose your final URL, that's the final destination, the place you want people to go when they click your ad. I generally recommend copying and pasting it in rather than typing freehand, so do as I say, not as I do. Now, when it gets time to add your images and your text, let's go through what you need. For images, you can add up to 20 images to a single ad, or you can have multiple ads within your ad group. It's really up to you how you'd like to organize things. If I come here to add images, you'll see a variety of options. The default is asset library, so this is showing me images that I've already used across other campaigns before. Suggested is going to look at my final URL, take images from there, things I've used recently, and then stock images that it thinks might be a good fit. AI generated is what it sounds like. Feel free to play around with that if you'd like to. Website or social, now it has scanned my website, so you can see it's inside Google Ads, and then it's picked up pictures of all the different Google Ads experts I featured in my course. But it can also scan your Instagram, for example, or your Facebook page to grab images from there. Free stock images, again, it's doing this based on my landing page, but I could type whatever I want here, maybe Google Ads, and now it's pulling up stock images that you're free to use. And last but not least, upload. If you have images you already know you want to use, you can upload them here. Once you get a sense of what images you want to use, note that there are 3 different orientations in use in Gmail ads. Let me show you an example. If I select this one, note that it's made 4, right? So I picked 1 picture and all of a sudden 4 have appeared here. That's Google trying to be super helpful. So I'm going to edit this to show you what's happened here. You'll notice there are 4 orientations. 1.91 by 1 ratio, that's our landscape. 1 by 1 ratio, that's our square, and I can adjust this if I want to. 4 by 5 ratio, that's our portrait. Again, we can adjust this if we want to. And then 9 by 16, that's our vertical. This will not run in Gmail. If you're running on YouTube Shorts, for example, this would be eligible there, but we're not, so I'm just going to X that out. Now select these 3 ratios. So you can take an image and do the cropping within Google Ads, or you can upload images that already have the right specifications. So here, for example, I'm going to select this 1.91 and then this square. If I come to this guy, maybe I want to do a 4 by 5 based on that. Select. I'm going to say right here, these are not the actual images I would use if I were running a Gmail ads campaign, but just trying to show you how the 3 image orientations work and what your options are. So you can have up to 20 different images in an ad, or maybe I have 1 ad with all these images and 1 ad with all those images, or maybe I have 1 ad with all the landscape, 1 with all the square. There's no right or wrong way to do it, but if in doubt, I recommend consolidation wherever possible. Just put multiple images in 1 ad. Let's click save. Now for logos, you can upload your logo, whatever it might be. Asset optimization, this is optional. So checking videos will let it make videos out of your images. I don't want it to do that. And then adaptive layouts, let it, adjust to different places. Again, because I've uploaded my different image orientations, I don't want that. But if you want to show examples and see more, by all means. Now we get to the text asset part. And this is another reason I recommend consolidation, because you're probably going to use the same couple of headlines and descriptions across all your images. With your ad, you can have up to 5 headlines, and they have a 40-character limit. For your descriptions, you can have up to 5 descriptions, and they have a 90-character limit. You do not need to use all 5. I will generally have maybe 2 to 3 headlines and maybe 2 descriptions. You're free to use multiple, but just remember, the more assets you add, the longer it takes for the system to learn, because it has to give them all a chance for testing. I usually keep it simple with fewer. For demo purposes, I'll say Google Ads course, learn Google Ads, join inside Google Ads today to become a Google Ads expert. Great. Don't use exclamation marks. They'll often get disapproved. So now we can start to see what these ads are actually going to look like. So this is showing me Gmail, mobile. Here's an example of what it could look like. You see the headline, description, call to action. We'll get there. And if I click next like this, so this is what it would look like with that square image, for example. Gmail EU, things can look a little bit different in the EU. So you can see an example of the teaser ad. I am not running ads in the EU, so I'm not going to worry about that now. But if you're running ads in the EU, pay attention to that. Here, it's now showing me an example of what the teaser ad could look like, whereas before we were seeing the expanded ad. And now on desktop, here's an example of the expanded ad on desktop. Love it. Here's another example of what it could look like. And if you have more headlines, descriptions, and images, you'll be able to see more variety there. And then Gmail EU, slightly different. So let's finish here. Call to action text. If you don't pick specific text, it'll choose for you, or you can choose what you want to do. For example, learn more. Business name is required and must match your business verification. I think I'm verified as Jyll Saskin, so I'm just going to put that. And here we go. Now, if you want to see all the previews at once, maybe you want to show someone on your team what this is going to look like, you can click Review, Combinations, and Placement. And this will now open up. Like for this image, this is how it can look. For this image, this is how it can look, etc. So it's a great way to see what your ads are actually going to look like and see if you want to make any adjustments before setting it live. Now that we've covered an image ad, I'm going to show you a video ad. We'll save this, but we'll now create a new ad. It's going to be a video ad, and you'll notice it's going to be quite similar. Fano URL, the same. Up to you if you want to check this box or not. And then here, rather than up to 20 images, you can add up to 5 videos. I recommend uploading these videos to your YouTube channel and then putting the links here. If you don't want them to show on your YouTube channel, you can put them as unlisted and still use them as ads. I'm just going to look myself up to find an example of what to use here. And you'll see here, choose where your videos show, but we don't need to do that because again, we're only showing in Gmail. So those options are not relevant to us. Let me just try to find one more video to show you what that could look like. So this is actually a video that's not posted on my channel. It's posted on the Page Search Association channel. I can also run ads to it. I don't generally recommend doing that because as we saw in the targeting conversation, you can build a remarketing list of people who have viewed your YouTube videos, but only if they're your YouTube videos. So that's why I only like to advertise my own videos so that I get the benefit of that remarketing, but it is an option to you here. Logo, same asset optimization. You can choose if you want to let them make variations of your videos. I generally do not. And then once again, 5 headlines, 5 descriptions, and then up to 5 of these long headlines, which also have 90 characters. Because a preview is unavailable, we're not able to see how that would actually show. I can't say for sure that your long headline won't even show on Gmail. That's a YouTube thing. I would just take whatever you have as a description and copy and paste one of them as a long headline because you will have to actually make at least one long headline in order to save your ad. Last but not least, we then have a carousel ad. So we can choose carousel image ad. And what this does that's a little different is you create different cards. So your ad overall still has a final URL, but then you can add up to 10 of these cards. And each card can have up to 3 images, a headline, and its own final URL and CTA. So for example, let's choose this Jyll. Why not? Great. And this is card 1. I'm just going to put learn.jyll.ca. Done. Okay, that's card 1. Now we can create card 2. So maybe on card 2, we're doing this Jyll. And this is card 2, learn.jyll.ca. Done. If you want to change the order, you can do that here, edit the cards, remove cards. But now you can see that there's actually these separate cards, which can potentially link to different parts of your website. So interesting little feature. Here's an example on desktop of what that could look like in the expanded ad. And if I go back, you can see that when it's shortened there, there's not necessarily going to be a card preview. There could be, maybe not, as you saw in the examples earlier in the video. Logo, text, etc. Because you have here a bunch of different cards with their own headlines, for the ad unit overall, we just need one headline and one description. And you can see why that will now matter for your teaser ad. You'll have kind of your one headline, your one description, and if they click on it, now they'll see your separate cards. That's a carousel ad. Remember that although you'll probably spend a lot of time figuring out the targeting of your ads, I would argue that the creative is way more important than the targeting. You could have the best targeted ads showing in front of your exact ideal customer, but if your teaser text is not enticing enough to them to actually click to learn more, you're not going to make any sales. For this video, it is time for us to move on to the next step, which is bidding and optimization. But if you do want to learn more about how to write really compelling ad copy and create really compelling images and videos, I have some great lessons about that in my course, Inside Google Ads. You can learn more by clicking on the link below this video. To complete our campaign setup, we would now go to review. There are many errors there, which is why we cannot publish it because I did not finish creating those ads. So notice that some of these were like red errors, but this stuff here is yellow. Recommendations. We can ignore that. I'm going to delete the incomplete ads just so I can publish the campaign. Delete, delete. There we go. You can see here, like, add a video to expand your reach. Not today, but option for you if you want to test that out. And we're going to publish campaign. Sometimes you'll now be required to do a little verification. I was not, so here we are. This campaign is live. Because I'm not actually ready to run this campaign, I'm going to come here and click pause right away until I am ready. Now we're going to talk about bidding for a moment. Don't worry, I'll make it very clear and simple so you can decide on the best bid strategy for your campaign. And then I'm going to show you an actual Gmail only demand gen campaign I ran. We're going to look at some of the metrics and use that so I can show you how to actually optimize a Gmail campaign once it's running. Your bid strategy is how you tell Google Ads what you want the campaign to achieve. As we saw, when you're running a Gmail campaign, your main options are a click-based bid strategy or a conversions-based bid strategy. With clicks, you can choose maximize clicks or target CPC. And with conversions, you can choose maximize conversions or target CPA. If you're running your campaign to a warm audience, meaning remarketing, people who are already familiar with your business, letting them know about a sale or a deal or a new product launch or something like that, then I recommend using conversions as your objective. That means that the thing you want someone to do from your Gmail ads is not just open or engage or click on them, but to actually purchase from you or fill out your lead form or call you or book a demo, etc. If you're targeting cold audiences or prospecting audiences, meaning, for example, you're targeting people who are in market or going through a life event who are brand new to your brand, then I recommend using a click-based bid strategy. Because if someone's never even heard about you before, they're seeing you in their inbox, they're intrigued enough to maybe open the ad and see what you're about, it is a huge win to get them to leave their inbox and come to your website. And that's what a click is. A click on your ad is not when they click on the teaser to see the expanded ad. That's an engagement. A click is when they actually click on your call to action button or on your image. So think of click-based bid strategies as being very similar to calling it a website visit-based bid strategy. Getting brand new people to leave their inbox and come to your website is a big win. So for prospecting, I recommend click-based bid strategies. Now, how do you decide whether to use a maximize strategy or a target strategy? Again, because today we're focused on getting you up and running with Gmail ads, I will recommend that you start with maximize. But if you want to dive deeper into these different bid strategies and understanding which one's right for you, I recently covered that on my Inside Google Ads podcast, episode 77. I explain every single bid strategy in Google Ads. So you will want to focus on maximize conversions, target CPA, maximize clicks, or target CPC. If you're a more advanced practitioner, you have an account with a lot of data, conversion value might be an option to you, in which case you're going to want to decide between maximize conversion value or target ROAS. But again, probably only if you're targeting a warm audience. If the last few minutes felt like gibberish to you, key takeaway: choose clicks when you're setting up your campaign. That is the maximize clicks bid strategy and a great place to start for Gmail ads. Now it's time for us to learn how to optimize a campaign, how to know if it's working well or not. In my account, I'm going to campaigns. Right now, I'm still in this demo campaign. So I'm actually going to choose this Gmail test instead, which, as you can see, I ran for a short period just so I'd have some data to show you today in this lesson. In this example, I used a campaign total budget of $200. You're welcome. First things first, I like to start with impressions, clicks, and click-through rate. If your view doesn't quite look like this, you can come to columns, modify columns, and then pick from hundreds of different columns. So let me show you the ones I like to look at, and then you can go edit your view if you need to. Impressions means how often are ads showed in people's inboxes. So here, 10,000 impressions. Now remember, a click doesn't mean they clicked on the ad. It means they clicked to your website. So I had 41 clicks, but 1,216 engagements. So let's clarify that again. Impressions means your ad showed. Engagements means they clicked on something in your ad. And then clicks means they clicked to go to your website. That means we now have cost per click, your total cost divided by total clicks, and we have cost per engagement, your total cost divided by your total engagements. We also have CTR, click-through rate, and engagement rate. What that means is that of all the times your ad showed, how often did someone click on it? So clicks divided by impressions is click-through rate. Or of all the times your ad showed, how often did someone engage with it? So engagements divided by impressions is engagement rate. There is no good or bad click-through rate. There's no good or bad cost per engagement. It's just important to see what these metrics are and what that might tell you about how you want to optimize. If you're advertising to cold traffic, people who aren't familiar, then really the goal is to get that engagement, because with no engagement, you can't get clicks. So I might say 11.88% engagement. Okay, that's my benchmark. How do I improve that? Well, we improve our engagement rate by having more enticing ads that people want to engage with, which really depends on your headline and description. Or maybe our audience needs to get more targeted. We're showing to people who are more likely to be interested. So those are two ways to potentially increase engagement rate. If we want to increase our click-through rate, really, although click-through rate is clicks over impressions, a more meaningful way to think about that can potentially be clicks out of engagements. Because while someone doesn't have to engage in order to click, we saw a few examples where people can click straight from the ad to your website. Most people are going to open the email first, open the ad first, and then either click or not click to your website. So 41 clicks over 1216 engagements, that gives us a 3.4% click-through rate. So of those who likely engage first, though not necessarily required, about 3 to 4% choose to visit the website. How do we improve that? Well, there, your image or video or carousel or products are playing a much bigger role. So those are the kinds of things you might want to optimize to increase your click-through rate. Moving on down, of course, to conversions. If you are optimizing for conversions, you should look at that. If you are not optimizing for conversions, don't even bother looking. It's just a bonus. But here we can see there were 2 conversions, 0.16% conversion rate. Very low data here. Again, I did not run this campaign for very long. Is that good? Is that bad? I don't know, but it's my benchmark. This is calculating conversion rate as conversions out of engagements. That's why it's 0.16%. And I don't think that's so fair, because in order for someone to convert, they have to make it to the website. They have to click first. So if someone engages but doesn't click, then they can't convert. I recommend calculating this yourself. 2 conversions out of 41 clicks. I'm actually quite happy with that. I think that's a pretty solid ratio, but up to you what you're happy with or not. And of course, the goal is always to get it higher. To improve your conversion rate, you want to make sure the right people are coming from your Gmail ads so that your targeting is spot on. And then, of course, conversion rate optimization, making sure the landing page meets their expectations, smooth checkout flow, et cetera, et cetera. If you have a video ad as part of your Gmail ads campaign, then you will see views, average cost per view, and view rate. So you can optimize those a similar way to how we talked about our engagement rates and click-through rates earlier. 2 more columns that can be helpful to add are unique users and average impression frequency per user. Unique users tell us how many different users saw your ads. So this had 1,000 impressions, reaching 8,500 unique users. That means we had a pretty low impression frequency per user. On average, someone saw our ad 1.2 times, so basically 1 time. If you're running an ad for a really long time, especially to a smaller audience, then you may see this average impression frequency per user increase. For example, like I saw those Google ads in my Gmail many, many times. Again, this is not necessarily bad, just something to be aware of. If your impression frequency per user is going up to like 4, 5, 6, you may want to refresh your creative so you're not just showing the same people, the same ad again and again and again. Coming into the Gmail ad, we can see our ad group or ad groups. So you might have different ad group level performance. And then coming in there, we can now see the actual ad. If we go to view asset details, this is now going to show us reporting for our individual images, text, headline, videos, etc. See that here? And you can add more columns to this report if you want to. So maybe you also want to look at view rate, for example, if there's a video. You could add that here. And now you can see how different assets perform. I don't recommend taking any action on this until an individual asset has had at least 100 clicks. Below that, in my opinion, it's just not enough data to optimize based on. So for this example, I would not pause anything yet. But let's say over time, you see that, like, for example, this image, a 0.73% click-through rate, whereas this one, 0.24%. Again, only 2 clicks and only 8 clicks. So based on what we're actually seeing here, I wouldn't do anything. But let's say there was more than 100 clicks on each of these and the metrics looked like that. I might pause the one with the lower click-through rate. And then for the one with the higher click-through rate, I'd say, maybe I can try a variation of that to see if that also performs well. Remember, an engagement usually has to happen before a click. So you might want to start by optimizing for engagement rate before then going to optimize for click-through rate and ultimately conversion rate if that's the goal of your campaign. To check on your audience performance, you can come to Audiences, Keywords, and Content, go to Audiences. When it loads, it's a little confusing. You don't want the first box. You don't want the second box. You want the third box, audience segments. You're going to click Show Table, and this will show you how your different audiences performed. So for this example, I had YouTube video viewers and I had all users. For most of the time this campaign was live, I did have optimized targeting turned off. So this is all it was able to serve to. And it was not spending my full budget. There just weren't enough people to reach. So just for fun, on the last day of my campaign, I turned optimized targeting on. And you can see what happened in that final day here, like way more impressions, way more clicks, way more spend. You will probably have optimized targeting off. But if you're not sure, this is a way to check what's happening from your selected audience segments versus optimized targeting. If you have an eagle eye, you might have noticed that the total cost here was $283.98, but my campaign total budget was $200. Although this is rare, this can happen. It's called over delivery. And fear not, I was only charged $200. And I got $83 worth of Gmail ads for free. The last piece I want to show you for insights and analysis is coming up to insights and reports and then insights. This is going to give you insights about your campaign that you may not see elsewhere. I always just change it to last 28 days to try to get a bit more data. Of course, this campaign has been paused now, so it's not showing me very much here. Not a great demo for you. But if your campaign's actively running, you'll see another box down here that gives you audience insights, which can be really helpful because they may or may not match the audiences you've chosen. So I wanted to be sure to give you that hot tip. We have covered a lot today. The fundamentals of Gmail ads, how to set up a campaign, how to pick your targeting, how to create your image and video ads, choose the right bid strategy, and then actually optimize your Gmail ad campaign. If you would like to go deeper on any of the topics we cover today, I recommend you check out my Inside Google Ads course, where I have more than 100 tutorials within Google Ads, including in-depth lessons on creating and optimizing demand gen, bid strategies, audience targeting, and more. Or if I whet your appetite today, but you're still thinking, I don't know if I could do this on my own, you can book a one-on-one coaching call with me. The links to Inside Google Ads, booking a call with me, my audience targeting book, and more are all below this video. I hope now that you'll consider setting up your first Gmail ads only campaign. Be sure to subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. And again, if you have any questions at all, just drop a comment below this video and I'll get back to you. I'm Jyll Saskin Gales, and I'll see you next time.